This is Terrence Andre Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you again about the real economy and really getting a pulse of what's actually going on outside. I know a lot of things over the news is different protests and stuff like that, but this economic decline is really taking heat, and it's what I mean by taking heat is really heating up in terms of the new demand that's out there, and how even when we have this new report about jobs coming back, I'm not sure if that's actually to be most accurate, because I'm looking at this stuff and it's painting a different picture. I came across this news article, AP News, respect them even in wealthy areas, food banks demand high. And it really caught my attention, especially because it was dealing with Valley Stream in New York, and I'm originally from New York, lived there for a good portion of my life, over 20 something years. And when you see this and see the economic that's really going on, and I'm gonna play a little excerpt from the article. As always, I'm gonna put a link inside the description. I'm gonna dive right in. Valley Stream, New York. Once one was a nurse, another retired, others had recently lost jobs with an insurance company and a country club. On a humid day like this, last week, in the parking lots of lots of those Long Islands. This is Long Island now. Again, if you're not from New York, Long Island is usually the better part. I should say better part of New York is usually where more people who have more economic resources usually live. And when you're seeing articles, again, I'm going to stress this again, when these areas are being hit financially, you got to understand, if you're from New York, you usually get paid a higher salary than most workers in other places. Now, I moved down to Virginia some years ago, but when I see this and I get the pulse and talking to people who have our family and friends still live up there, and seeing how the economic devastation that's going on, and how it's just really not put enough emphasis on why it's so important to think about things different, get different ways of generating income, getting your family prepared for the new economic reality that's still unfolding. And I stress this enough and for you just to think differently. Continue reading the work. I digress, but I want to really just drive home that point. Each was making their first visit to a food bank to help cope with hardships arising from the coronavirus outbreak. I'm hungry. This is a quote. That's why I'm here, says Marcia Duckley, a mother of 4 children, ages 4 through 17, lost a job last year, her hotel job last year. Never crossed my mind before that I'd be doing this. Duckley came to the United States 30 years ago from Jamaica and says she has recently been eating her children her 4 dumplings with butter, plus an occasional treat of water flavored with sugar. Now, if you're from the Caribbean, which my family is as well, I've eaten this kind of meal before. We call it different things for everybody, but if you're from this area, you definitely understand that, and just the devastation what that does, and going back to times of the 80s, it just brings home a lot. And that's the reason why I'm kind of lingering here a little bit more instead of just going right into the article as well. They say, "Mom, when are you going back to work?" she said through an open window, and she edged her car slowly forward. The scene of Valley Stream, a community of 37,000 in Nassau County suburbs just east of New York City, has been replicated nationwide during a 10-week stretch in which 42 million Americans, and repeat this again, 42 million Americans have applied for unemployment benefits. Long lines of cars, sometimes numbering in the thousands, backed up while their occupants wait sometimes for hours for the chance to take home a free batch of food. And I'm going to play this art right here. This is just, so you can hear it. Hopefully it works with me this time.
Open up your trunk, thank you. 2 people? More. Thank you. I'm hungry, that's why I'm here. I'm hungry.
It's your first time coming out here?
Yeah, because I'm hungry, no food. They call me and tell me that there's food out here. Now I'm able to get some food to feed my children. And when the kids them cry, sometimes you have to go and mix a little sugar and water just to survive. I was in the hotel industry. You don't get the stimulus because they say if you work certain amount of money, you have to kill yourself with 2 jobs, and now you end up with nothing at all. Okay. Yes, you. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate it, ladies. Thank you.
Valley Stream, Long Island, there's hunger and food insecurity in every community across Long Island. Today we're expecting to support about 1,000 families. We've distributed probably about 1.2 million more meals this year, same time as last year. It's dramatic.
So I appreciate it. Well, I'm a nurse. I am working, but my husband is not. So it helps. I take care of coronavirus patients. I work in the intensive care unit at Bellevue. And I have been very stressed, to say the least. And hopefully we'll be able to get over this coronavirus together. Take care, you too.
Again, it just gives a face to different people here. Again, Island Harvest, the major food banks in Long Island, organized for the food distribution of Valley Stream. One of many has conducted through the areas. Randy Schubendeshner, Island Harvest CEO, said the food bank has distributed 1.2 million more meals so far this year. During the same period last year, in Valley Stream, she said 1,124 boxes of food were distributed by volunteers, mostly to motorists, but also several hundred people who came on foot. Each box contained roughly 25 pounds of milk, potatoes, apples, cheese, and other produce. There are a lot of people who never asked for food before. Some used to contribute to us, she said. It's a very humbling experience for them. And some of the people used to contribute. Just to note that some cars on Long Line were new upscale models. We just saw in the video there, they were Mercedes-Benz, meaning these people might have worked extra jobs and made a lot more capital to even afford the payment. So regardless of what you think, it's just a new reality. Go guess wrong. The occupants' needs. Maybe a few weeks ago, they had a great job. She said then the world is taken from underneath them and they have no income. They're struggling to pay the mortgage and the car loan. It's not up to judge the type of car that comes through the line or the way people are dressed, she added. It's up to us to respect them. The first one waiting in the pedestrian line was indeed well dressed. She asked to be identified. G said she had been furloughed during the pandemic by the insurance company where she'd been underwriter for over 20 years. She's a single mom living with 4 sons, ages 15 to 20, who are eating her out of house and home. She said, "I've never been through something like this." She said, "I've seen this in third world countries, and now it hits Valley Stream." Not far behind her, was retiree Sheila Barron, 69, who said she was making a first trip to a food bank because of increasing awareness of grocery stores. They're too crowded, she said, and often they're out of items she needs. The pandemic restrictions have been tough for her. She missed the opportunity to go to church and is asked to do medical appointments via telemedicine. Barron was soon followed by Tina Grace, 29, walking alongside a bicycle, who said she was recently laid off by the country club where she worked on event planning. She's getting unemployment compensation but worries it won't last. "I'm just taking it day by day," she said. "It's hard. It sucks. Everyone's in a tough situation right now." Unlike many others in line, Mary Blaze is still employed. She's a nurse. We just heard this story again from the video. She's a nurse in New York City. The stress of her job is now combated by her husband's recent layoff, she said, making it harder to pay their mortgage and utility bills. But she was upbeat about her first visit to a food bank. "It feels good to know that people actually care," she said. In neighboring Connecticut, perennially ranked as one of the richest states, demand on food banks has also been intense. Each weekday outside a football stadium in East Hartford, 1,000, 2,500 cars roll through a distribution site run by the regional food bank Food Share. Drivers had their trunks open as volunteers load boxes of fruits and vegetables, bread, milk, and even toys. Among those making use of the site was Natalie Townsend, 32, a single mother from Hartford, who lost a job at a call center in April. She says she has fallen to 2 months behind on the rent, still waiting for unemployment benefits, and worries about to care for her 9-year-old daughter. "It's definitely getting me down because I like to pay my bills on time," she said. "I don't want to be on the streets." Also at the site where and that even brings up another aspect, because the narrative is that everybody's going to get forbearance and everyone's getting rent for over a year. Really, when you come down and really nitpicking this, it doesn't just work that way in his house is being prescribed. Also on the site where Yen and Bellin said her husband, Alex Cepeda, who lost their jobs in March, she as a medical assistant, he was a chef. Dominican Republicans lived in Hartford with her mother, who has Alzheimer's disease. They have been surviving on unemployment benefits, but are behind on their bills. So they've been surviving even with you heard the extra amount of money that was given in that point, but they're still behind in the bills. We can't go grocery shopping because we don't have the money, Belos Santos said. This is really helping us. In the most affluent southwest corner of Connecticut, Kate Lombardo says his demand is up about 40% in recent weeks for the Stamford-based food banker of Lower Fairfield County, of which she is an executive director. Lombardo says her own family in Brooklyn faced sudden hardships in the 1960s, including losing their house after her father died and the mother had to care for her 5 children. She said they experienced deeper empathy with people now facing their first ever need for food assistance. Suddenly, you feel like you've been transported to a different country, Lombardo said. I want to repeat that again. Suddenly, you feel like you've been transferred to a different country, Lombardo said. You never used these resources before. You don't know how to find them. It's like Dorothy trying to find the Wizard of Oz. Wow. Lifelong STAMP President Julia Wilson, in addition to her job as a paraeducator in the public school system, has for many years helped run the neighborhood's food pantry supplied by the food bank. But Wilson has been out of work since March. So are the 2 adult children who live with her, along with 2 grandchildren. Wilson recently designated herself and her family as recipients of aid from that very pantry in order to obtain meat, bread, and fresh vegetables. I grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters, she said. I learned how to make do with what you have, just try to survive. Through her community, anxiety is high as food supplies grow tighter. A lot of people are very nervous, Wilson said. We don't know where we're headed. It's kind of scary. Associate Press writer Dr. Constance Eastman Hartford, AP video journalist Robert Brunston, and Vanity Stream contribute to this report. Again, it's the new reality that we're living. It's the new economics. And I'm going to show you pictures of people that's at this particular area. We'll go through each one. And people coming on bicycles to get food. And as a man with color and aspect, it's just people needing help. And still in America, you can actually get this assistance. So this is the new reality. Really take heed. If you're not struggling in these kind of matters, count yourself very lucky. Do things differently. Think things differently. If this video has been of any value to you, please subscribe, leave some comments, hit the like button. And until my next video, I'm out.